G'day everyone, welcome back. This time we're going to get back into a project that has sat in the corner of the shed for too long. If you don't recognise this, originally it was a BMW D190, 6-cylinder diesel, marinised. It come with a outdrive and everything, and I actually got this thing for free. Like anything free, it's going to get pretty expensive pretty quick. We're going to go through and do a complete, maybe not complete, we're going to go through and do a rebuild. There's varying stages of rebuilds. It took me a while, but I finally managed to track down somewhere that I think I can get parts from that's pretty reliable. But what I need to do first is strip this right down to the bare block and find out exactly what I can reuse and what I can't. And then we can go from there. There's no point throwing every single thing in the parts book at it if it just doesn't need it. Things get really expensive really quick doing it like that. So yeah, if you want to see how we got to this point, there is already a video on it, and I will upload it as well. It'll come in the playlist. It may have even come out already, depending on how on the ball I am. Essentially, I got it for nothing, like I said, and it was locked up, seized solid. Now, what you can't see from your perspective is there's no piston in here. Essentially, we got down to the point of getting all the heads off. It's individual head engine, this one, so we got all the heads off, and number 6 and I think number 2 were full of water and sludge and gunk, and they were nasty. Number 6 in particular was locked up solid. When we rotated the engine, we actually pushed the liner out, so these are a wet sleeve liner, and I'll show you more about that as we go. Give you a brief explanation of the differences in the bores. But anyway, we pushed the liner out, and then I was a bit heavy-handed with how I did things, and I ended up breaking the liner. Not to worry, I do have another liner and piston to go in it. We'll put some rings in it, obviously. But yeah, like I said at the start, we need to get this thing back down, find out exactly what we're working with. By all reports, the bottom end on these engines are very, very strong. So if we don't have to do bearings, I won't do bearings. But I need to know that before I put the list in for parts. So anyway, first step, we're going to get all the rest of these ancillaries off. Injection pump, engine mounts, what do we got? Water pump, bits and pieces. Something different with these engines that is actually, I've never done one of these, but I've never done an engine where the crankshaft actually slides out from the back. So it doesn't come out the front, and it's a full cradled assembly, so it doesn't come out the bottom. It actually comes out the back of the engine. So that'll be interesting. Yeah, anyway, we might have to sling it from the forklift when we get to that point and slide it out. But first step's going to be, like I said, ancillaries, then we're going to pop our pistons out, and then we'll figure it out from there. Right, let's go. So I do already have a few bits and pieces off. I did have to pull the fuel pump gear off, so that can go, and that gives us access when we pop these 3 bolts off the back here. Yeah, when we pop these 3 bolts off the back, the entire injection pump can just come off. 3 bolts? 2 bolts. 2 bolts. How the hell do you get to that one? Okay, we're learning as we go. And we're definitely learning. Yeah, I know. I hear you. Actually, before we pull it off, there is the injection pump can move. It can swivel in orientation to the block, and that can advance and retard your injection timing. Makes a big difference on the characteristics of the engine. So what I'm going to do is actually center punch some marks so I know where that one comes from, because that is the pump that goes back on. And I don't know where any of my hammers are. Oh, found it. So let's go right there. And there. And some nice, good, solid, clear indications that if you do it right, they actually should line up. That's not very good, is it? Jesus. Made a mockery of that. Come on, there. Big one. And big one. That's better. Alright, now we got it. Now we can pull the rest off. As soon as I can figure out how to get to this other bolt. Oh, here we go. First major mechanical piece ready to come out. Took me a while to figure out what was going on. We're going to pull the camshaft out. Now the camshaft runs off some gears off the crank. They're timed, obviously. Now I'm reusing this camshaft and I'm reusing the lifters. These are flat lifters, flat solids actually. I'll show you what that means when it comes out, but when you reuse a cam that, or even if it's roller, really it's still good practice, but if you reuse a cam that's a flat tappet cam, you have to make sure that each lifter for each valve goes back where it was on the camshaft. They develop their own wear patterns over time, and if you go and slap it back together and mix and match where the lifters were at the start of their life, they will end up chewing each other out very quickly. So it's very important it goes back together that way. Now, typically a lifter will come out of the top of the bore. If the camshaft spins around under it, the lifter sits on top and goes around with the cam lobe. But typically you can get in there with a magnet or maybe a small set of pointy nose pliers and actually lift the lifter out. Can't do that on this. I got there and I'm like, it's just not coming out, it feels solid. Anyway, turns out they're top hat lifters. Well, that's what I refer to them as anyway. They actually come in from the bottom, and they're a T-shaped. So they come in from the bottom and sit down, and then you slide the camshaft in over the top, flip the engine back over, and then the lifters then sit on the cam lobe. So yeah, anyway, I've undone the 2 bolts on the retaining plate. So in theory, all the lifters should be sitting down, which means the cam lobes won't be contacting them. Oh, that's a heavy camshaft. And you got to try not to drag the cam or the cam lobes along the bearings. I can't really get to it, but we'll try. It can be hard to do when you've got a long cam like this. Yeah. Be good to have a good look at the condition of this too. I don't want to replace it. I mean, if I do have to and it's no good, well, okay, but also same with the cam bearings. If I don't have to replace the cam bearings, then I won't. I mean, the inside of this engine, the bottom end, looks really good. Especially considering I know it had water in it because I drained the water out of the sump. So, alright, there we go. One bumpy stick. It's an odd wear pattern there. Let's get a rag and have a little bit of a look at it. This is I don't think this engine has done that many hours. Like, at all, actually. This camshaft almost looks like it hasn't even been broken in. No unusual wear on it. I will go ahead and mic all the lobes up, just so that they're all right. Alright, so here we go. It looks a bit odd. It's got some funny wear patterns on it. So we've got really nice shiny tips on the tip of the lobes, Then it dulls off to the side. The base circle, unless this has been running excessively high valve clearances, then I'd go along with that. The base circle looks like it's never even been touched. Same here. I mean, you can actually a really good example of the stages of the camshaft. So you got your base circle, which if you don't have a hydraulic lifter, you will have valve clearance. So it actually, the lifter won't ride on there with any pressure, but it comes around and it's not just a straight egg shape. There's actually stages of it. So as it comes around, it'll start to make contact, and then that heavy wear point there is the opening ramp. So it actually comes around the curve and then it starts a hard up, which takes up your valve clearance and starts your valve opening. Through there, you've got a fairly decent amount of surface area onto the lifter, because it's actually more of a flatter ramp. Rolls over onto the peak, and the same thing on the other side. This camshaft has no wear on it. None. The journals all look really good. Alright. That's really good. That's awesome, actually. Now, here's the trick. We're going to have to get these lifters out and make sure they stay in exactly the same spot they come out of in this. So, I need to get... Stay there. Thank you. I need to get a little box or something that I can sit them in and line them up. So let me see what we got. So, a bit of cardboard. I better mark which way is the front. There. Front of the engine. And we know the timing gear's at the front of the engine anyway. So I pulled the first one out. We'll go ahead and get the second one. There we go. So, that's what I meant by a top hat lifter, or a T-lifter. I don't know their exact term. I would refer to them as top hat. There is no wear on them. They look damn near factory, like freshly put in. There's no oil build up on the back. Slightest amount of discoloration on the shaft, but I mean, as far as a wear pattern goes, it doesn't have one. Alright, well, keep going and getting them all out. Same story. Just really good, and they are a solid lifter, so you can have hydraulic lifters and solid lifters. I'm not an engine expert, so don't crucify me, but essentially that is a solid lifter. That is one solid block of steel. Now the push rod sits in there. Hydraulic lifters aren't a solid block of steel. They're an outer and then they're an inner, and the inner cup has a little circlip that retains it, and essentially it uses hydraulic pressure inside to dampen and take up clearance off the cam lobe. So remember I said there was clearance on the base circle. Hydraulic lifters don't have clearance, they actually have preload. So you put a certain amount of preload on that hydraulic system, and then the engine oil pumps up and takes up that preload, but it gives it a cushion. So it means you don't have to do things like valve clearances, because they don't run valve clearance. It also means that they're a bit quiet, or they have a tendency to be a lot quieter, because there's no clickety-clacking going on worth of clearance. Oh, you'll have to excuse me, I'm really struggling with a cold at the moment. It's just really kicking my ass, to be honest. Get the crank out of the way so I get the rest. Oh, get out of there. Yeah. Yep, same story. Alright, I'm going to go along and get all these out. If there's anything interesting I'll show you, but I think it's all going to be much of the same. Time for the pistons and rods. So I've already been through, they're all marked already. So they're 1 through to 5. I do have number 6 still. The rod is still in good condition, so it's only the piston we're replacing on number 6. Anyway, they're all marked. So back them up. And hopefully all the bearings are in good nick. because that will save me a lot of money. There's nothing wrong with reusing bearings provided they are in spec and in good condition. Let's see what we're working with. Okay, so there's the cap. There's the bearing shell. They are brand new. They are brand new. Now, your bearing shell, bearing material, white material is very soft. So you got to be careful. You don't just want to go gouging at it with, you know, with anything. But that looks like it has just been put in. And I am not even lying. Huh. Okay. Well, let's get the piston out, and then we'll see what the other half is. Typically, the upper side of the rod receives a little bit more of a hurry up than the lower side. But let's sit you back in there. So they just drop. It's fine. You just drop bolts on the floor, though. That's okay. I can't believe how good that bearing is. Hopefully it's a sign. We got a little bit of grip there. That lower bearing is perfect. Just can't quite reach him. Come on, get out of there. Let me go get a bit of rubber. I've got, actually, we can spin the crank. Get that out of the way. There we go. There we go. Sort of. Everything go. I'm just pushing on the, not pushing on the bearing. Just pushing on the edge of the. Oh. All right. Let me go and I've got a little bit of plastic bar here that I'll use to knock that out, I think. Alright, bit of plastic. Let's see if we can do this without completely destroying stuff. Whoa, don't do that. I just don't have enough hands here at the moment. Really? Just, you don't have to be that hard. Just get out. Just try to get the rings. Trying to get the rings to pop out of the bore. I'm not going to catch it with my leg. That's just silly. There we go. And we have a piston. That looks brand new. I am gonna hypothesize something. I don't think this engine has done hardly any hours before it got water in it, or before the boat sunk. Well, the boat didn't sink completely, it just broke its mooring and went under the back, like the transom section went under. There is like a few little marks, like, you know, you got a little bit on the skirt there. There's a little bit of what looks like corrosion on top of the piston. But, I mean, other than that, and those bearings are just, let me get a clean spot on my rag so I don't wipe contaminants into it. They're brand new. Brand spanking new. Alright, well, you don't need to see me struggle with the rest. I'm going to get the next 4 out. And then we're going to have a look at pulling the liners, because I need to see what's going on behind the liners, and we're going to reseal them as well. So, yeah, that's really encouraging.
Have no shame, there's no time. Feel the pain, live the grind. I could change, in my mind. Pick a lane, commit and climb. The only way to win at life. I never miss, that's fact. Taking big swings, bitch, hand me the bat.
Not the most appropriate use for a hoist, but it worked. So, these have got little, or not little, actually I'll show you. they've got retainer pins that thread into the side of the block and hold the main bearing capsules, things, sleeves, whatever you want to call them. So they're all out, I think. The back one should be, because remember that used to spin before, so now we just got to try and get the crank out. I don't know how I'm going to do that yet. Where's my soft end? Okay, there we go. Yeah, I mean, see if we can get in and grab that freight. It's going to be heavy.
Yeah, I can guarantee that.
Not much we do have.
It's got I've got not much to hang on a minute. We'll get in a bit. We've got this gear covered,
Yeah.
but I can't go far till I lose my grip, and then I might have to get in here with a sling or something. So let's just see how we go with weight.
I'll have to pull that again.
Yeah, that'll do.
I've got nothing to pry it off now.
I have.
Okay.
I'm in front of the engine here, but I might be able to lift it as well, I don't think. Right, you ready? Just going to go back a little bit. Oh no, I've got it. Whoop, whoop.
That's actually sitting on the roof of the thing. That should be okay.
Yeah, but I'm on the front bearing here, so. Oh, we've got to line each one up as we go. Don't do that just yet. Fingers in the way. Fingers in the way.
Get your fingers out of the way.
Yeah, my fault. Silly me.
Holy crap, they're a good fit.
Well, you don't want the main bearings moved, do you? Hang on. Ready?
Yep.
Mind the way, I suppose.
Oh, you're right. It's okay.
Next. Stop. A little bit more. See if we can line that one up. Yep. Ready? Get on the next one for a bit. We'll line that one up. Yep. Right, hang on. Come on, get it. Right, it's on you. Ready to start?
Ready to start, that's the end.
Make a paint to them.
That's a decent crank. Righto, not the professional method, but I'm going to see if they move. Let's see, I might even need to drop the stop.
Yeah.
You're going to hold it, you reckon?
I'm just gonna.
See what happens.
I'll let you know.
That moved.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this
Yep.
the back one fell out. So
It did fall out, yeah. Alright, well, let's get them out.
it's only O-rings holding it. They're not
Yeah.
pressed in or anything. So.
Beautiful.
No, she got it.
That's it.
Beautiful.
Sweet.
Right, move to the
Number two.
next one. Yeah. Well, you're not on all four.
Oh, okay.
Won't need to get it central.
Yes. Ah, it's gone.
Okay. You can get three. Empty the box.
Empty the box, right up.
You're still not on. I'm going to come over this side. Right.
Okay. Maybe move. Just test the box off. Hang on.
Hang on, they're not going to fall, so just. No, it's the bottom O-rings, caught them on the top. Your water sealing O-rings are caught at the top. Well, they're not going to fall out, so put that under and dock the other ones, then we can turn it over.
Give them a bit of a wiggle and some love, you reckon?
Well, it'll be these O-rings at the top,
Yeah.
and the bottom, that are not coming out the top, but we can get them out.
Yeah, we'll spray some lube.
Just make sure it doesn't
Keep
drop on
drying.
the ground, yeah.
Alright, you're right.
Yep. Just rusting guns.
Last one. Oop, hang on, let me get the book on a bit better.
That makes it easier to pinch one of theirs.
These are a bit more rusted in. There we go.
Yeah, but they've also got the crank in the way.
It's got the crank in the way. Well, looks like we're pulling a crank out. We know how to do that now.
Yeah, slip it back into the finish.
Yeah. Alright, we'll flip it up the other way. Get some spray in there.
I was going to say, put some small on it.
Back down the front.
Everything's just...
Yeah, down the front, up the back. You get it, I'll wait here.
Yeah.
I'll hydrate. I'm getting dehydrate. You've got two of the same stubby holders. That's a recipe for disaster. Well, while he's mucking around, these are the main bearings. Just wipe some of the oil, and they are all absolutely freaking fantastic. That one's got a little bit of staining on it, but they're just in really good condition. Oh, hang on, I'll give you a hand.
Yeah, now stand it up because we can get goop down in the top half.
Good.
See if this works anyway.
Oh, I bet you hop off the back of the engine stand.
I'll look on the front of it.
We have one empty as empty can be block. So the only thing that's not pulled out that could be is the cam bearings, but I don't want to touch them because they're in good nick. That front bearing, I don't know, I'm going to assume that's the way that it came out of the factory because it's evenly worn to copper all the way around.
It might not be copper.
Well, it might not be copper, it could be something else. I mean, I can see just a hint of actual wear there, but the difference in colour, I'm not sure.
Yeah, copper's more
Anyway.
dull.
Yeah, but they're not coming out. Well, that's, unless I need to, it's not. All of the main bearings are perfect. All of the rod bearings are completely fine. I will plastic gauge the rods and the mains and just check them for size, but I don't think they're going to give me any issues. All of these liners, so these 5 seem good. This one seems a little worse for wear. I will sort out another liner from some parts engines and another piston. So that was really successful. The bottom end is completely fine. The only things that I'm up for is a full set of rings, which I knew anyway, and then a full set of gaskets. Definitely, you know, head gaskets and rocker cover gaskets, all that sort of stuff. Sump gasket as well. Actually, I think, no, I did have a sump gasket. It wasn't glued.
Polish the crank, that's it.
Yeah, I'll polish the crank just to get, so there's just some slight sort of witness markings. They don't pick up a fingernail or anything, but just to get it back to schmick. We'll polish the crank. Camshaft's perfect. All the lifters are perfect. I will get the injectors tested. I have access to a test rig, so I'll just test them and see what they're like. If they give me any indications they might not be fantastic, I'll just get them rebuilt. And then it's all go. So hopefully the parts supplier that I've been in contact with gets back to me really soon with some rings and gasket information. I don't think it'll cost me the earth, but you know, it costs what it costs. I didn't pay anything for the engine, and I'm only into it for some labour at the moment. So yeah, if you didn't see the first part of the engine build, or the engine teardown, sorry, like I said, I will hopefully have it up already. If not, it'll definitely be up within a day or two. I'll try and get it up so you can see where it started. And next episode will be probably a hell of a lot of cleaning and prep work. I'm going to pressure test all the manifolds. So these run obviously water-cooled exhaust manifolds, intake manifolds, and it has a heat exchanger up on top as well, which runs the coolant water through it. Sorry, scratch that. It runs raw water through it to cool the intake charge. That's all got to get pressure tested because I don't want to put all this back together and find that there's a pinhole in one of those. So we'll be making jigs to get all that done. That way, when it goes back together, I know for absolute certainty that everything is right. That way, if it goes in the boat and there's an issue, then I know where to look, and I'm not, you know, second guessing myself thinking, oh crap, I didn't check that, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Righto, that's enough of me talking. Thanks for watching, and yeah, stay tuned for an update on this thing, and hopefully next week we will be back on to getting the duck board finished. That sucker's taken some time, but trust me, it is starting to look really, really good, so stay tuned for that. If you haven't, subscribe, and also notifications. So the new channel's starting to pick up a bit of steam, so that's really good. So keep watching, and yeah, stay safe. We'll catch you on the next one.